Week 20 of the fantasy baseball season, and it's crunch time for most fantasy owners. And here's a few pitchers I think you could go out there and pick up this week that could help your team down the stretch. The first pitcher, Luis Severino with the New York Mets. Is surprisingly, Severino still out there in 50% of fantasy leagues. And it's been an up and down season here for Severino, no doubt about it. Innings have been a concern of late. Since the last few seasons, he really hasn't gone into this territory pitching over 100 innings even. On the year, 142 and 2/3, 8-6 record, 117 Ks, a 3.91 ERA, 1.22 whip, and 10 quality starts. Severino coming off a complete game shutout in his latest outing versus the Miami Marlins. We know the Marlins aren't a good team. They sold everyone off at the Major League trade deadline, but surprisingly that he's out there in 50% of fantasy leagues, and I know he had two bad outings in a row. August 6th at the Rockies, 5 innings, got the loss, 8 hits, 4 runs, 5 Ks in that one. August 11th at Seattle, 5 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. And August 17th versus Miami, the complete game shutout, 4-hitter, like I mentioned, in that one, 8 Ks and a walk. So Severino, it's been up and down, like I mentioned. He got bombed his last 2 outings before this complete game shutout versus the Miami Marlins. So if he's out there in your fantasy leagues and you want to use him as a back end of the rotation pitcher, I understand, because he's going to be up and down, I believe, for the remainder of the season. And he definitely could be hitting that wall is Severino. After way over his innings from last season, already 50 innings this year over from last year. So right now, Severino, after coming off a monster ball game and a shutout, which you don't see much in the majors anymore, he's a pitcher to add this week. The next pitcher, Jeffrey Springs of the Tampa Bay Rays. Jeffrey Springs, he's been on the list a little bit over the last few weeks, coming off of injury, and now he's starting to hit his stride a little bit for this Tampa Bay Ray team. Only 18 and 2/3 on the year, 1-1 record, 21 Ks, a 3.86 ERA, 1.45 whip. So Springs, it's good for him to get some things going towards the end of the season. Obviously, with the Rays, they traded off a lot of good pieces at the Major League trade deadline, and they knew they had Springs coming back, Rasmussen back, even though he's only an opener for this Tampa Bay Ray team. So they want to see what he has, and so far he's looked pretty decent. August 6th at the Cardinals, 5 innings, got the loss, 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. August 11th versus Baltimore, 5 innings, no decision, 6 hits, a run, 8 Ks in that one. And August 17th got the first win of the year for him versus a good Arizona Diamondback team. 5 innings, got the win, 4 hits, a run, a walk, 7 Ks. So Springs, 15 strikeouts the last 2 outings, which obviously is very impressive for a guy coming off major injury to go out there and still have that good K rate. And to be someone, I know he's not going that deep into games, 5-6 innings. And this Ray team, obviously, are out of it, trading their better players away, like Randy Arozarena, Isaac Paredes. But Jeffrey Springs, I still believe, can help fantasy owners. And he's definitely someone to head off the wire this week. The next pitcher, Reed Nelson of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this Diamondback team, they've taken the league by storm once again over the last month of the season. And Reed Nelson's been a big part of it. On the year, 124 innings, 8-6 record, 101 Ks, a 4.35 ERA, a 1.29 whip, and 9 quality starts. But the last month of the season, one of the better pitchers in all fantasy baseball. 2-0 record, 37 1/3, 42 Ks, a 2.89 ERA, an 0.99 whip, and 3 quality starts. And Nelson, he's going out there. He's pitching good baseball. Obviously, he's on a playoff team. They weren't doing much. They were a 500 team, a few games out of the wild card, and now jumping up to those top 2 wild card spots. Them and the San Diego Padres, and they're only a few games as well. Is this Arizona Diamondback team out of a division title in the West? And Nelson out there in tons of leagues, like I said, 68%. And he's made the most of his opportunity. Even though I know Merrill Kelly has returned to the rotation and Eduardo Rodriguez of late for this Diamondback team. But I believe he's going to stay in the rotation. Is Nelson. August 4th at the Pirates, 5 innings, no decision, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. August 9th versus Philly, 7 1/3, no decision, 3 hits, a run, a walk, 9 Ks. And August 16th at the Rays, 6 1/3, no decision, 5 hits, a run in that one, 6 Ks, a quality start. So 3 out of 4 outings, a quality start for Reed Nelson. Pitched very well, no doubt about it, for this Arizona Diamondback team. And like I said, with him pitching great, there's no way they're going to take him out of the rotation, I believe. And he's definitely a pitcher I look to hit off the wire this week. The next pitcher, another New York Met, David Peterson of the New York Mets. So very surprising that Peterson's been good this year for this Met team. Over the last few years, he really hasn't done much. Then off-season hip surgery, I really thought he was done. But he's entered this rotation about May early June was Peterson, and he's pitched well, 71 innings, 7-1 record, 56 Ks, a 3.04 ERA, a 1.39 WHIP, and 6 quality starts in the last month of the year, 27 in the third, 3-1 record, 24 Ks, 2.96 ERA, 1.35 WHIP, and 2 quality starts. So surprisingly, he's still out there in 75% of fantasy leagues. And just like I don't think many people think Peterson is going to keep it up, and they're waiting for the other shoe to drop as well. But you got to give him credit as Peterson. He's gone out there and he's totally turned his career around this season. And the last few outings, August 3rd at the Angels, 6 innings, no decision, 5 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 Ks, a quality start. August 8th versus the Rockies, 5 innings. In that one, got the win. 4 hits, a run, 3 walks, 5 Ks. And August 14th versus the A's, 6 in the third, got the win. 3 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 4 Ks, a quality starts. His next outing is definitely going to be a test in tomorrow's game versus the Baltimore Orioles. And the thing with Peterson, that third time around, the lineup really doesn't mean he don't go that deep into ball games. And like I said, versus stiffer competition coming up, we'll see if Peterson could keep it going at this rate. But right now, to find a pitcher who's having a good year like Peterson this late in the season and to be available in 75% of fantasy leagues, it's tough to find. And that's why I recommend him as an ad this week, even though, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes the other way and teams start teeing off on him with a tougher schedule coming up. The next pitcher, Cody Bradford of the Texas Rangers. So Bradford, he got off to a hot start in the beginning of the season. Then he was on the injured list for a few months. And now he's returned and he's pitched good baseball over the last few outings. On the year, 36 innings, 4-0 record, 33 Ks, at 3.50 ERA, a 1 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. But the last couple weeks, 11 innings, 1-0 record, 9 Ks, at 2.45 ERA, a 1.18 WHIP, and a quality start. So he's gone out there of late as Bradford, and he's picked up where he left off early in the season before he went on the injured list for this Texas Ranger team. And we know this Ranger team's out of it. They sold some pieces off at the deadline, and they might even put some players through on the waiver deadline as well before the end of August. August 3rd versus Boston, it was a bad outing, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 5 Ks. Then August 10th, surprisingly, at the Yankees, 5 innings, got the win, 5 hits, a run, 7 Ks. And August 15th versus Minnesota, 6 innings, no decision, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks, a quality start. So Bradford, he's not really going to be a high strikeout pitcher for this Texas Ranger team, but he's someone that could eat innings. He hits ground balls, gets easier routes early in at-bats. And for him to be available in 76% of fantasy leagues, I think it's good value this time of the season. And like I said, he's going to have a spot in the rotation with Texas with all the injuries they have over there, and also with them most likely shipping off people at the waiver deadline. Wouldn't be surprising as well. The next pitcher, Martin Perez of the San Diego Padres. So Perez was an underrated trade deadline move for the Padres to solidify the back end of the rotation on the season. 3-5 record, 101 in the third, 84 Ks, a 4.62 ERA, 1.49 WHIP, and 7 quality starts in the last month, 28 innings, 2-0 record, 27 Ks, a 3.21 ERA, a 1.14 WHIP, and 3 quality starts. So we know at the front end of this rotation, they got Cease, they got Joe Musgrove, who returned early in the week for the San Diego Padre team, and Martin Perez, like I said, to solidify the back end with Michael King of this rotation. I thought it was a good move, and a move they didn't give up much at all in a deal to get Perez on the roster. So right now, well, he's pitching for one of the hottest teams in all the major leagues is Perez, and for him to be available in 78% of fantasy leagues, only should go out there in deeper leagues and get him. So the last few outings for Perez, August 3rd versus the Rockies, 6 innings, no decision, 3 hits, a run, 7 Ks, a quality start. August 9th at the Marlins, 7 innings, no decision, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks, a quality start. And August 14th versus the Pirates, 5 1/3 versus his former team. A win, 5 hits, a run, a walk, 8 Ks. I know the last 3 outings have been versus weak hitting teams in the Marlins, Rockies, and Pirates. But Martin Perez, he's gone out there. And like I said, he's going to get good run support from this San Diego Padre team where they're on fire, like I mentioned. His next outing's a middle of the pack matchup versus a mid to low tier offense in the Minnesota Twins. And to be out there in 78% of fantasy leagues and pitch on one of the better teams in the league, I believe fantasy owners should go out there and get Perez this week. The next pitcher is Zebby Matthews of the Minnesota Twins. I mentioned Matthews a lot in my prospect videos this season, that an injury or two, he's going to come up and be on the major league roster. And that's exactly what happened for Matthews and this Twin team. Available in 85% of leagues. So in his debut, pitched a decent outing. But this kid, he's been coming up the system quickly for this Minnesota Twin team. First career outing, August 13th versus the Royals. 5 innings, got the win. 5 hits, 2 runs, 5 Ks in that one. So tomorrow, definitely a tough test in his second major league outing at the San Diego Padres, where we know they're one of the better hitting teams and one of the hottest teams in all Major League Baseball. But with Joe Ryan out and obviously Chris Paddock out, Zebby Matthews, and the next player's teammate I'm going to talk about, David Festa, are 2 good options on the waiver wire, I believe. Guys are going to keep the ball in the ballpark for the most part. They got good control, and they're young rookies with major upside, and this is what can help fantasy owners in the back end of the season here. Young rookies coming up where the league hasn't seen them, and they could go out there and pitch quality ball games. So Matthews available in 85% of fantasy leagues, like I mentioned. I know it's only been one outing, but like I said, he's moved up the ranks quickly this season in the Minnesota farm system, where he was in Double-A the majority of the season, and now in the major leagues. And next pitches his teammate David Festa of the Minnesota Twins. So Festa, we've seen a first stint a couple months ago, and then he's come back recently here for this Twin team. A season 32 2/3, 2-2 record, 39 Ks, a 4.96 ERA, 1.32 WHIP. But the last month of the year, looking good is Festa, 22 2/3, 1-1 record, 31 Ks, 2.38 ERA, 1.15 WHIP. So if you could go out there and get him off the waiver wire, I think he's going to be a good add for fantasy owners. He's got good stuff, and he finds ways as well to get those easier outs and not always relying on the strikeouts. August 5th at the Cubs, 5 innings, got the win. 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 9 Ks. August 11th versus the Guardians, 3 1/3 only, 3 hits, a run, 3 walks, 3 Ks. And then August 17th, he bounced back at Texas a little bit. 5 innings, no decision, 6 hits, 2 runs, 6 Ks. So Festa, like I said, he's been a solid pitcher over the last month of the season. It's this Twin team, we know they're trying to compete for one of those wild card spots and a chance as well in the Central. So they're going to have these young pitchers go out there and pitch. I don't think they're that worried about innings limits because they brought them up, especially Zebby Matthews. We're Festa at a first in early in the year, and then he's come back recently. He's a pitcher I would go out there and get this week. The next pitcher, Michael Kopech, the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Kopech out there in 65% of fantasy leagues. And this Dodger team, it's been a carousel all season. Who's going to close games out? So right now, it looks like Kopech's the favorite to get saves for this Dodger team after he was horrible for the most part of the year with the White Sox. But he's definitely turned things around since the trade deadline. On the year, 52 innings, 3-8 record, 10 saves, 72 Ks, 3.98 ERA, 1.17 WHIP. And over the last month, he's been unhittable. 11 innings, 1-0 record, a save, 16 Ks, no ERA, 0.36 WHIP. So Kopech, he needed that confidence maybe to get traded, obviously, to a contender and one of the better teams in the league in the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he's been a hot pickup. Like I said, if you could get anyone on a top of the line team as a closer to help fantasy owners, even in points leagues, you got to go out there and get them. And that's exactly what it's been for Kopech, a save opportunity for this Los Angeles Dodger team. And unhittable over the last few weeks. Roto leagues, he's going to have value as well as Kopech, where obviously you want to keep those innings down and the strikeout rate up in those deep Roto leagues. And even category leagues as well. I know no ERA, and to get the occasional save opportunity as well. I think Kopech could pay off for fantasy owners, where he's turned the season around, going to his new team. In the final pitcher I look to get off the wire, Anthony Dominguez. The Baltimore Orioles said Dominguez, he was traded to the O's in that Austin Hayes deal last month, and he's been solid as well as Dominguez. On the year, 45 innings, 3-2 record, 3 saves, 50 Ks, 4 ERA, a 1.13 WHIP. But over the last month of the year, he's been pretty much unhittable as well. 11 innings, 0-0 record, 2 saves, 11 Ks, a 1.64 ERA, 0.82 WHIP. Available in tons of fantasy leagues. Here's Dominguez in 69%. So the last 2 save opportunities for this Baltimore Oriole team, Dominguez has gone out there and he's got the save. So right now, Dominguez, I think he's got good value, obviously, for one of the better teams in the league, being the closer. Kimbrel has struggled, especially over the last month of the season, with an ERA over 8. And I think Sir Anthony Dominguez, as long as he keeps his pitches under control and he don't walk the ballpark like we've seen at times, he's a hard thrower, but the control has been an issue. I think he could be a solid piece for fantasy owners as a closer, as their second, third closer on the roster, and someone who's obviously going to get a decent amount of chances being on one of the better teams in the league. So right now with some Anthony Dominguez out there in 69% of fantasy leagues, and the closer for this Baltimore Oriole team, it looks like right now with Kimbrel struggling, he's an ad this week. So that's a few pitches I look to add for week 20 of the fantasy baseball season.